Good morning again, boys and girls. So I realized that I have quite a few chapters. Not too many, but I need to get two done a day in order for this book to be finished for you guys before we end school next Friday. So I am going to read chapter 19 of The Gigantic Giant Goof-up by Sarah Courtauld, called In Which There Is an Ear, like this. All right. Lavender and Prince Ludwig were enjoying a lovely evening stroll, oblivious to everything except for each other. How peaceful it is here, said Lavender. Isn't it just? Ludwig replied. They had wandered away from the others some time ago and had stumbled into a clearing in the forest with huge banners across it that proclaimed, Welcome to the Brawl for All. And a brawl is a fight with lots of people or giants. Might is right and meat is treat. Get your free punch here. Here's all the banners. Only a few yards away, a crowd of giants was watching as one giant steadily, with the utmost patience and determination, separated a second giant from his ear. But were Lavender and the prince frightened? Did they hear the oohs and ahs, the roars and grunts? Did they notice the colossal giant's ear soaring through the air and landing on the ground only a few yards away from them? Were they bothered by the river of spilled ale which sloshed past them and nearly swept them off their feet? Did they pay attention to the two fighting giants who toppled over as they fought and crashed to the ground just beside Lavender and the prince, nearly squashing them? Were they frightened by the barrel of water that came rolling into their path and almost left them as flat as the earth itself? Of course not. They only had eyes for each other. You know, said Prince Ludwig, I feel like I've always known you. Let me guess. You like happiness. I love happiness, Lavender replied. And you like wearing pointy hats, said Prince Ludwig. I do, said Lavender, just like this one that I'm wearing now. I knew it, said Prince Ludwig. It's as if we've known each other all of our lives. But I want to know more. Tell me all about yourself. Well, Lavender began. You see, the prince went on, I was the firstborn son of King Alfred and Queen Mabel von Flanderfling. I have 7 brothers, Ludwig, 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 and Ludwig. Ludwig, said Lavender. The prince beamed at her. Yes, he said as he shook his head. How could you possibly know that? We really must be soulmates. But you go on. You were just going to tell me about yourself. Well, I grew up in the far corner of Squirb with just one sister, said Lavender. You know, I've often thought about how wonderful it would be to be a peasant like you, Prince Ludwig said, just tilling the fields all day, with barely a thought in my tiny little head. Maybe I'd sleep in the stable, just like you. Oh, I didn't sleep in a stable and wear rags. This is my favorite dress. One day I could be happy to smell of horse manure just like you. I really don't think I smell like that, said Lavender. But it doesn't matter because you're perfect in every way. I am? You really are. I feel so lucky to have found you. Even your name makes me happy. It makes me feel so peaceful. Colander, 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 said the prince. I could say it all day. Um, it's lavender, not colander, said Lavender. Of course it is, said the prince. He sighed. You make me so happy. And you make me so happy, Lavender replied. And privately she thanked the holy snail who was still safely stowed in her basket. So they strolled along giddily with happiness. Only a few yards away, the giants were also rejoicing, for they had just seen one giant bite off another giant's nose. At the same time, Eliza and Bonnet, who had left Gertrude happily nibbling the beanstalk, were walking back towards the woods. Lavender, Prince Ludwig, Lavender, Prince Ludwig, Lavender. They shouted until their voices were hoarse, then some more until their voices were donkey. It's no good, said Eliza. They have vanished. Wait, said Bonnet. I hear something. For now there were twigs crunching leaves, leaves rustling, and branches snapping. Eliza and Bonnet looked up hopefully as two figures sprang out of the undergrowth. Had Lavender and the prince come back? No. Well, well, well. What do we have here, Rumtwerp? Said the first giant. Snacks, Meat Knuckle. Snacks is what we have here, said the second giant. And to think we were about to go all the way down to the shop. These two will do nicely. Hey, Meat Knuckle pointed at Eliza. What flavor are you? Old shoes and rat tails, Eliza gulped. And what about him, said Meat Knuckle, licking his lips as he pointed at Bonnet. He tastes more of dusty armchairs and unhappy fish, said Eliza. What are the chances, Rumtwerp, said Meat Knuckle. Our favorite flavors. Bonnet, Eliza said out of the corner of her mouth. Bonnet. Run! So they ran. Eliza ran as fast as her legs would carry her, and Bonnet raced as fast as his short legs, not very good lungs, and belly full of 17 scones could carry him. Rumtwerp and Meat Knuckle came after them, shouting, Hey, stop! You're our snacks! As they leaped over a busy highway of giant beetles, Eliza had an idea. Quiet, Bonnet. Get on. Eliza jumped onto a passing beetle, pulling Bonnet up after her. Where to, said the beetle. Anywhere those giants aren't, Eliza said. Right you are, the beetle replied. Hold on tight. Bonnet shut his eyes as the beetle took off, soared up into the air, turned a few circles, and started to fly back towards the two giants. Can we go the other way, please? Away from the giants, if that's all right. Not back towards them, said Bonnet. What's that? Away from the giants, Eliza shouted. We need to get away from the giants. Don't worry, said the beetle. It's a shortcut. Is it? Said Eliza. Because it looks like a shortcut to being eaten. But the beetle ignored her and continued to fly straight at the giants. They grinned as they saw it coming. Are you thinking what I'm thinking, said Meat Knuckle. I'm not thinking what you're thinking, said Rumtwerp, because I never think. It's a waste of time. But what I will shortly be doing is eating those lovely snacks, they said together as the beetle flew above their head. They both lunged for it at the same time. Kablosh! Mist and their heads crashed together. As the beetle rose into the sky, the two giants fell unconscious to the ground. Thank you very much, Eliza said to the beetle when they landed safely back to the beanstalk. Oh, no trouble, said the beetle. Best of luck now. Eliza turned to Gertrude, who had been standing on top of the beanstalk, patiently waiting the entire time. Or to be more accurate, who had been patiently eating all of the time. Eating her way through the tasty, chewy plant she was standing on top of. As Gertrude munched her way through another delicious mouthful of beanstalk, she made quite an amazing noise. First came a low, thunderous rumble, then a loud, exploding boom. And then there was a slightly moldy whiff in the air. The beanstalk was clearly having quite a powerful effect on Gertrude's digestive system. Good mouse. I mean, goat, said Eliza. She noticed that Gertrude looked less miserable than usual. That was probably something to do with the leaves hanging out of her mouth and the quantity of beanstalk that she had already eaten. Oh no, Eliza thought. Oh no, no, no. Gertrude, please stop doing that right now. Right now, she said calmly as she could, for she could see that the beanstalk was now only connected to the top of the cliff by a single stem. Gertrude, stop chewing, she said more gently this time, but it would take much more time than a few warnings for Eliza to stop Gertrude in the middle of such an excellent meal. The beanstalk, it turned out, tasted like a mixture of apples and old socks, Gertrude's two favorite foods. So completely ignoring Eliza, Gertrude chomped her way through the very last stem. The beanstalk was now standing free. For a moment, it stood quite still, perfectly vertical, all on its own. Then Gertrude's stomach rumbled again, a louder rumble this time, more like an approaching thunderstorm. Another explosion was coming. Boom, boom, ba-boom. The beanstalk started to lean away from the cliff, slowly at first, and then more quickly. Gertrude found herself moving rapidly sideways and downward, which was one very quick way to get back down to Squirb, although probably not the one to go for if you still wanted to be breathing at the end of the journey. Gah! Cried Gertrude as she leaped from the collapsing beanstalk. She hurled herself towards the cliff, missing it by an inch, and was only saved by Eliza's hands clamped tightly around her hooves. On Monday, I will read chapter 20, in which Eliza makes a mistake. So what do you think? Will they make it back down to Squirb? Do you think the beanstalk collapsed all the way to the bottom? We shall see on Monday. Happy Friday! I miss you guys. Graydon, you want to say hi?
What?
Come say hi.
What?
Come say hi to my kids. Well, you have to lean down.
Mm-hmm.
This is my Gray, you guys. He's going to work. Okay, bye.
I got one longer here.